This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
In the criminal justice system, one type of offense is especially devastating.
He will never hurt you again.
The detectives assigned to these cases are members of an elite squad known as the Special Victims Unit. These are their stories.
Detectives Benson, Stabler, sex crimes, what happened?
After 19 groundbreaking seasons of high-stakes emotion
You still have a life to live. You have that chance.
and incredible guest performances,
Will you stay with me for as long as it takes?
there's a reason TV's longest-running hit drama
Hit it.
is the most-watched show on television. And this fall, SVU returns
NYPD, stop!
for its landmark 20th season
No one expects you to be Wonder Woman.
I do.
with an unforgettable case on its new night
Protect your son. Tell us what happened.
and an ending that will leave you stunned. The SVU 2-hour premiere event, Thursday, September 27th.
It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show.
I gotta ask you, Oliver, what is your favorite Law and Order villain? Because like there are so many. There's like some ruined seasons, and some of them were awesome, and some of them were just like this belongs in a totally different show.
Tammy said the best villain.
Yeah, on any part of
that was
franchise.
season 5. It was an episode called Rage, and the villain was Courtney B. Vance. I don't know if you're familiar with his work.
Yeah, and I mean he later comes on Criminal Intent as the main.
Yes,
DA, but-
yeah.
Okay,
He was fantastic.
The stockbroker found dead from a rifle.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
The other one, and
Wendell
it's
Pierce
funny.
was his lawyer, I think.
Yeah, Wendell Pierce was his lawyer.
Wow.
The
He's
other
talking
one,
season 5. Yeah, that was good.
and that's my all-time favorite Law and Order episode, actually. It's funny you bring up Criminal Intent because I am a big fan of Criminal Intent, and there's so many Law and Order fans that have never watched it. It's kind of like the it's the Chuck of Law and Order. It's like everybody forgets about it.
No, I concur. Kind of like Star Trek. You would see people, they would only watch the original or DS9. You're like,
Yeah.
you do know there's 5 of these other ones. They all, the reason they all stand out, it's not just because they got the syndication order. It's they all have their own identity. It avoids the courtrooms altogether, and it's just like, okay, we're gonna just go on a crazy mind game manhunt. Like Criminal Minds owes its existence to that. Lie to Me totally would not be a thing. You're just like
Criminal Intent is, I mean, first of all, you just have to, and one of the things that I just love about it is that Vincent D'Onofrio is the scenery chewing is just unbelievable, and the overacting. But Catherine Urbe is fantastic in it. Because she has to put up with all this scenery chewing, and it must be difficult for another actor to because it's so over the top that you don't know what to bounce off of, and she handles it like a pro. But I bring it up because of all people, Neil Patrick Harris was a cannibal in one of the episodes, and he was fantastic.
Oh, don't get me started on the Stephen Colbert episode where he was
the Stephen Colbert episode.
Doctor, he was sending ricin poison bombs, and again, all the victims are way overdoing it, even for that kind of show. But I think the reason we like these shows is even when there's something that's not quite working, it's just like the overall, just like it still gets under your skin. You know? It's
absolutely.
It's not like you're watching a other show and you're like, oh, okay, the hype killed this, or Ryan Murphy, you don't have a plan. You just want to shock us, and I'm done being shocked. Sorry, go ahead.
We're living in 2025. Nothing can shock us now.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Alright, so hi, I'm Jean, but you can call me Aahana because that's my real name. So first of all, thank you for including me in this discussion. I am really sad I couldn't be on the call live today because unfortunately I have a business class coinciding with the call. So I'll chime in with my thoughts on some of the best villains from SVU and FBI. So first off, I completely agree with everyone when they say William Lewis is one of the best villains SVU has ever had. But for this, I wanted to talk about two of my personal favorites that really left an impact on me. So I really had to think about this. Okay, so for SVU, the first villain I wanted to talk about was Dr. Carl Rudnick from season 16. I think you should remember him. Yeah, pretty messed up. What makes him memorable for me is how he operated right under everyone's nose. He was the deputy chief medical examiner, and yet he turned out to be a serial killer. Like, maybe staying between all those dead bodies made some weird sadistic desire inside of him alive or some shit. I don't know. Oh my god. So what's so chilling about him for me is how calculated and methodical he was. He literally used his knowledge of forensics to cover up his own crimes. So that kind of double life just made him really terrifying. And you never suspect him until it's too late. Also, the way he gets unmasked and tries to run away in disguise is a different level of desperation and creepiness that just, stuck with me. Wow. Kind of re-traumatizes me again. Alright, the second SVU villain is Henry Messner from season 22. He's unique for me because he's not your typical adult criminal. He's a child. And he's already exhibiting clear signs of being a psychopath. That was really scary. So what's so terrifying about him isn't just what he does, it's how he does it. He's manipulative, he's calculating, and he's completely unremorseful. I remember that one scene where he outsmarts the therapist and pretends to be this innocent kid. And the fact that he's so young makes you wonder what he's going to grow up into. It's a very heavy moral dilemma around his character. Is he a product of his environment, or was he just born this way? So that's why Henry is so fascinating and haunting for me. Yeah, FBI. Alright, so one of my favorite villains, I don't know if it's obvious for many people, but because I think many people prefer him, Antonio Vargas, the guy in season 3, the leader of the cartel. So what I really liked about him was he's not chaotic. He's incredibly calculated, and he knows exactly how to exploit people and situations to his advantage. What I think makes him stand out is that he's not just a threat physically, but also mentally. What really got me rolling was how he got under the team's skin so quickly and carefully. It pushed them to think differently on how to approach this guy. So, there's also something about his charisma. He's the kind of villain you almost admire, even though he's done some terrible things. That's pretty much the case for me. So yeah, that balance of charm and danger is really what makes him such a memorable character. Yeah. So those are my favorite villains. Thank you again for including me. I am really honored to be part of this conversation and discussion. So I can't wait to hear everyone else's picks. Definitely tune in, like always. Thank you for letting me share. I appreciate you.
You're gonna get through this. We're here so the victim can be heard.
Do
TV's longest-running primetime drama returns with an explosive ripped-from-the-headlines case.
Sorry to keep you waiting, darling.
Ian McShane guest stars.
You want this part, don't you?
I don't know what kind of hooks he has. He's not getting away with this.
So, of all the TV villains of the week, what does SVU do right and what does it do wrong?
SVU gets the... the police procedural part is always on point. And the attention to detail is always there. And rotating characters out is smart because it's following Homicide.
I love how people will complain about that, and then they complain if a show is just the same thing every time. I'm like, they change it up. It would be boring if it was the same person getting prosecuted or
I
fired.
brought that up with Sequest DSV on my review because the first season, it was a great cast, loved it. And then second season...
didn't even want to do it. And everyone's like, oh, he's gone. I'm like, well, you can't force actors. Actors are divas. If they don't want to do it, you can't force them. But truly, you probably were tuning in because you liked the concept, not just the actor. But,
yeah, I liked it. It was nice. They switched characters up, and I'm like, okay, if they had stuck with this character switching and made it unique for each season, that would have been cool. It would have been great. Then you would have had comparisons like, oh, season 1's story was better than season 2 because season 2 had a stronger cast.
Bingo.
Season 3 had a deeper cast.
Well,
but
they tried to damn it all.
Yeah.
It's like, if there's other changes that are good, that's not a fill.
I know.
Right. But yeah, I mean, anytime I tuned into this show, I was just like, okay, they're not playing it safe. Yes, they are kind of doing what Star Trek did. They're doing a stunt casting, but then they're doing some other stuff where even though you see names flash at the beginning, you wonder who's going to play who and do what. And
I actually missed that because Homicide would show you who's who, same with Law and Order. And I missed that aspect because that helps you identify who's who. And then you're like, okay, this is who it is versus guesstimating who
you got to look at the IMDb.
Yeah.
Who voiced what?
Yeah.
I think it's just they.
Who are you?
I feel like they did actual, just studies and just aside from the 6 o'clock news, it's like, hey, let's do a twist on this serial killer. And yes, sometimes they're going to overact, but for some reason they're just
the headlines.
Ripped from the headlines. And very over the top, but I mean, it's kind of just what you signed up for. I never felt like my time was wasted or like they were exploiting people.
No, they didn't exploit. They actually did a lot of challenging cases. And it's stuff that would never fly today because people are too sensitive about shit.
I mean, they're still doing fucked up shit on there, and no one's bitches because it's after 9 o'clock. It's like, and it's realistic looking. It's like somehow everyone's like, okay, cool. It's not trying to be gratuitous.
It's hit the B square.
Hit the B square. Oh, shit.
Oh, damn, Huey Lewis.
It's hip to be bad.
Oh, I don't want to see American Psycho. I think they should bring back the celebrity guests. That was fun for Law and Order. That worked very well. That worked
they
well
get
for
them,
Homicide.
but they're more character actors.
Yeah.
They almost all
reach out.
Definitely reach out more. I once had a bad nightmare that John Travolta was a villain of the week. I'm like, oh, how would
that would be fucking wild.
It's like, yeah, maybe in the right setting, but I don't know. It could be easily backfire.
Kevin Spacey would work, even though people hate the hell out of him.
Wow.
Really, he would really bring good star power to that show, for sure. If people could get the fuck over his shit. They can separate that and just be like, oh, wow, everybody remembers how good he was.
Kevin Spacey, play yourself. I want you to go there. Method acting.
Be interesting.
Hey, it would be something.
Easy.
It's easy. All right. Joining me tonight is Leanne Caruso. Sullivan here. We're just doing some more of our just favorite Dick Wolf TV show villains. Thanks for joining.
Yeah. Welcome.
This was back and forth with just so many different individuals, and I was like, yeah, let's finally do a fun just kind of episode of this, because everybody always this is kind of just one of the mini shows where everyone was like, I remember that. I forget which episode, but there was that one famous actor playing that one reprehensible individual. And it shouldn't work at all. It should be soapy, it should be melodramatic, and yet somehow everyone was on the same page. It's like, let's make this gritty. And even if the plot had some plot holes, was more good than bad.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So I take it.
Well,
Go ahead.
I don't know all the episodes off by heart, by names or anything like that.
Yeah, I can't
only
either.
guessing,
So, as a disclaimer to everybody, we're more likely than not going to probably reference the actor or the character and just take it as it goes. This is all on Google.
Yeah, obviously, if I don't, if I know the character's name, then I'll say it. But obviously,
if it was
I don't,
just 5 seasons, we'd have a head start. But time has not been on our side.
A lot.
This has been on since the beginning. It feels like this has been forever. On since it's been forever, but I feel like this has been on since Jesus was a young boy. You know.
Yeah. So I feel like I've grown up with it. You know.
Mm-hmm. So
well, I probably have.
The best part is how some of these actors end up repeating. This is like they'll be on one show and then as a different bad apple on another one, and then when they're actually a good guy, you're still kind of. It takes a bit of adjusting. You're like, I don't know if I trust him yet.
It does, yeah. You get a bit confused, don't you? Like, don't know if you like him in that role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're playing an evil twin.
Yeah. It is, yeah. It's hard to see them as a different character in another show.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So, where would you think you would? What's your number one so far that you think just works so well?
For villain?
Yeah.
I think I'm probably going to say my number one villain. Is probably going to be Wheatley and Rob Miller, I think.
And Wheatley, okay, cool. A lot of fans who I had on last time couldn't stand him, and I was just like, I felt like he did the role the way it was meant to be done, which was very over the top.
Yeah.
Orchestrates all these different takeovers with all his various mercs and men. He's a deceiver, and he's kind of a Tony Soprano if he were in a biracial relationship, you know. I thought that was wild. Is like he literally dispatches his racist dad just because he's like, I know you would never approve of my marriage to this person I actually love. Like,
yeah.
That's one way to begin it.
Yeah, it's like it was, I agree. I think he was doing a lot of things like that he knew people wouldn't agree with, and like he was doing it on purpose for the thrill of it, and
messing with the stocks on the market, and his whole image is I'm a Robin Hood, giving back, and like, yeah, sure, too good to be true.
It was, but I think it was interesting as well, because it's like just like for me, it was like more of the storyline, because they think they'd got him, and they'd they'd won and they'd beat him, and then he'd do something that would change everything and change the course of action, which way they had to go, and they had to think something else to catch him and things like that. It was always like one step ahead, and that's what I liked about it, because it was complex that way and interesting, and it was like catch me if you can type thing.
Yes.
Type of a storyline, and just as they were getting him, he'd do something and it'd change, and that's what I liked about it, that little suspense part of it, which kept me intrigued in that storyline particularly.
I agree. I was like, okay, he's gonna play everyone for a fool, and this gives an excuse for Stabler to go after him and on his own show.
Yeah, a cat and mouse thing. Yeah, but I think it was part of it was to introduce his show as well, really.
Right.
Show what Stabler was capable of, and this is what he's like. He can do this. Don't forget.
My sister and I kept joking, like, this is the TV version of Heat, Like, this is two guys facing off, they're having dinner, and then saying, by the way, you're going down. Here's the bill.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Like I say, I've got a bit I don't know if you've seen it, the movie Catch Me If You Can.
Catch Me and Get, yeah.
With Leonardo DiCaprio. I got a bit of that vibe from it as well. You know, that's a similar thing.
All he knows is breaking the rules.
I'm better than you, and no, I'm better than you, and
No, it's a good movie, but same kind of deal. Is like, all I know is being a con artist. That's all I'll ever be, and nothing you can do about it. So, take your best shot.
That's it. Yeah, basically, yeah. About like that.
Well, and then, I think Criminal Intent had some better villains, but sometimes it got even more disturbing than SVU. And I think Olivia d'Abo, the British actress who's been in so many different movies, like when she played Nicole Wallace, this murderous thief, I was like, they should have crossed that character over onto SVU. Could have had both Vincent and Goran try and pick this person's brain, because basically, believe it or not, Dick Wolf and Renee Belser produced a French show that's loosely connected to the Law and Order universe called Joe, and they had this character actually pop up there. So, in many people's minds, this Wallace character, given how she's taken so many people's identities, she could be going around under so many other different aliases. She just was one of those. It was interesting just seeing a recurring villain who basically, your guess is as good as anyone. Like, she's not only knows how to play the system and seem normal, even though she's a murderous thief, but like you don't feel cheated. You're just like, yeah, these people don't have to even justify themselves. We just know they're a bad apple, and they're going to keep getting away with what they get away with because they just play it cool when they're on the spot. And so we always wonder, why can't we find anything on them? It's like, because they don't act up. They know how they do all these awful things, and they keep their cool. You're like, one of these days, this person's going to be caught.
I'm trying to think back to the early days of SVU for the villains, but obviously it's quite difficult to remember them all because obviously there's so many.
Eric McCormick from Will and Grace and Blair Underwood from LA Law's characters were all kind of unusual, but I think that's just it. Everyone remembered that more just because of them. Like, they were just so unusually cast and made the episode more memorable than it had any business being.
Well, yeah.
There's been some fun FBI and Law and Order crossovers. Michael Trucco from Battlestar Galactica was on SVU, and he was a guy who was just going around drugging his victims into forgetting what awful things he did to them. Kelly Hu was the victim guest star on that episode, and sure enough, he pops up later on, I believe, the 6th season of FBI, being a crooked politician that one of the head supervisor.
I think they do use, I think they do use a lot of the same actors for the shows, just for different characters, because I think, obviously, like I say, they're all done by, obviously, Dick Wolf, the Wolf Entertainment.
Same casting director.
I think, that's what I was just going to say. I think they use the same casting director for all the shows and the same casting agency for all shows. I think that's the impression I get when I watch it, because I think, oh yeah, I have seen them before, because I've even noticed, Peter Scanavino for Carisi. Before he was Carisi, he was in a few episodes.
He was a bad
of
apple.
As a villain, as the gym teacher, and I can't remember what the other one he did. And he was in a few times, and obviously he's come back in then as a detective, and it's like, I think they go around.
I've known him since
the agency. Yeah.
I've known him since a Person of Interest guest spot, and I was like, this guy, he just has an unusual layer to him. I don't know if he's going to be good or bad. He keeps me in suspense, but Jerry Orbach was like a lawyer in like early season.
But they're all very good actors and versatile because obviously they do the villain extremely well, and then they come back as a good person and they do that really well as well. But I think some actors do prefer are better at villains than they are as good guys, if that makes sense.
Well, they also just know they can rely on these people. They're going to be on time on the call sheet. They can go so many different ways, and I'm just glad that a show like this is just very well handled. I've never heard any behind the scenes toxicity of, you know, someone made an inappropriate joke on a show about, sexual crimes. It's like that. I'd be heartbroken if a scandal like that came out. I'd be like, guys, you got to tread lightly. You know what material you're talking about?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I agree. I don't think I've ever heard anything
Me neither.
toxic or bad from behind the scenes either. I don't think
Maybe a
I don't
creative
recall
like writers going behind the
anything.
scenes and Twitter
know.
exploding when they don't like what they do, but that never to the point of, man, that director seems like a piece of work,
Yeah, you get the fans exploding if there's something not right, or they don't get the real ending or the real relationship or something. But other than that, from the set themselves,
Right.
I've never recalled anything bad coming out or arguments between,
I have to
the creator and
leave.
actors or anything. I mean, there might be, we don't know because we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but
I know
I've
Matt
never seen anything.
Olmstead, who oversaw the Chicago franchise, leftover creative differences, but they still credited him for the first season because he was developing it. It's like that's way different than I'm gonna storm off. I refuse to finish this scene, or
Yeah. I think what I have noticed is there's had a lot of change in the characters, especially with SVU. They've had a lot of cast member changes in the last 5 seasons, maybe going from season 20. That does make you think and make you question, if there's something going on behind the scenes. But then at the same time, you don't know what the actors are wanting themselves. Maybe the actors are just using it to get known and get out there to start the career. You don't know.
Last I
I mean,
checked, Wolf basically would tell his producers, and I don't know if they just do it heavy-handedly or not, but an argument could be made there. It basically is like they just want to keep it fresh and new, so people got to leave and go and what have you. And so I can understand why that might be a little underwhelming as an actor. Is like, yeah, but I'm not ready to leave. I got to leave now because I've been arrested, or my character's in a scandal. I guess I got to step down, or I got murdered, so I can't very well come back except as a different character. I wouldn't take any of it seriously. I'd be like, hey, I'm an entertainer.
No.
If you remember any of my roles, then I did my job.
That's it. I've enjoyed it all, no matter who's been in the cast. So, I just go with it.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with us fans, is it? We don't know what's going on. We don't know what they're looking for, or if there is, because you say they've got to go now because the character's died. Or you don't know. Could be anything.
Totally. And I mean, we were having a fun off-air chat. Is like, yeah, I mean, compared to all the shows that went downhill, I'd say it's got a pretty good track record. If I still want to tune in, even if it's not where I want the season to be, is like, hey, that's pretty good.
Exactly.
You're keeping it still relevant compared to, this died years ago. This sucks.
Yeah, that's it. I think there was a couple of seasons that did get that way, where I thought this could be the last season, because I think the credibility went down a little bit. Probably like seasons 19, 20, 21, 22-ish. But then, just because some of the episodes were just like, I was just like, that did not keep me in suspense. That didn't make me want to watch it. That didn't make me think about what was going to do, or it was predictable. I knew this was going to happen. I could tell it was going to go that way. And then I thought it was getting a little bit political with, bringing the systematic storylines in about the police being bad, this, that, and the other. And then they turned it around and brought it back to the relevance of what it is, which I thought was really good.
Yeah. I think they were all trying to tread lightly because they're just like, yeah, we don't want this to be overblown, but we do want it to be kind of somewhat in the real world to where you could probably see something like this happening.
Yeah.
What do you do?
That's it. Yeah, because that's what I do like to do, try and keep up with the reality and the times and what's going on in the world today and stuff like that without making it too real and without making it the same. But I think that's quite a difficult thing to do as well.
Yeah.
Like you say, you've got to tread lightly with it as well because you don't want to get into trouble and you don't want anything coming back because you still even though you're trying to bring that awareness, you've still got to remember it's a fictional TV show as well.
Indeed. I'm like, jeez, they went there.
Yeah, there was a few episodes and I was like, they're going that way. Yeah, but then they brought it around. So I thought that was really good.
Sure.
And then the current season, 26 and then 25, I think they've been really good.
Yeah.
They've really kept me watching.
And for the most part, they were just kind of going out doing manhunts, unusual internet clickbait instead of just someone gets assaulted every single time at the beginning. I was like, good. I need a breather. I'm not to abolish the whole system. I get it. It's just like, yeah, but we're taking a breather. We're not going to have every single episode be just soul crushing. Like,
I like that they've mixed it up with. Yeah, I like that they've mixed it up with like missing children and that one episode of season 25 where there was the bodies found all dismembered and things, you know, things like that. You know, I think that's what's brought it around because they've mixed it up with other things that go on as well. And I think that's what's, like you said, you're getting a break from the relevance, but it's not taking away the relevance either because they're bringing the relevance into why that girl murdered her dad and friends or whatever, you know, still bringing it up. But it was really good. That was probably one. I can't remember what the episode was called, but you know which one I'm talking about. And that was probably one of my favourite episodes from season 25.
There were some other ones in that in season 24, which had some just like internet campaign contributions, football players, and just other scandals. I'm like, okay, cool. So this is a typical thing that we're used to seeing in the 6 o'clock news or on tabloids. So let's take another take on that, where it's like, hey, is this person, you know, on an Instagram equivalent site, you know, making up BS about this person they're feuding with? I always dig stuff like that when just is like, okay, so we're going to do our take on that and give some fun commentary on it because it is ridiculous how, you know, the media gets off on this, fans get off on this, that they want blood. We're a violent society still.
Yeah, I think we are a violent society.
We're praying mantises. We eat each other alive. So I'm gonna go with two big ones that often make a lot of top actors. Victor Paul Gitano. I mean, you start off as like, we don't see the character for the entire episode. We see that he's killed animals and people, but like it's done in like a photo montage. So it's left to our imagination, and we're like, good grief. So he went from being a sex offender to raping, kidnapping, and just being a spree killer. And then you find out, oh, it's Lou Diamond Phillips, and he's going to take Stabler hostage, and Benson's got to try and kill him. And she's like, I don't know what you want. Do you want to get out of here? Or are you going to kill my partner just to get out of here?
Yeah.
And then, of course, fortunately, a sniper solves that. But it's like, Jesus, you know, you already took a swipe at my neck.
Yeah, and then the sniper grabs, the sniper gets involved,
It was just very taut, and Phillips I'm sure Phillips gets recognized on the street for it. I mean, he's a already accomplished actor and director, but just like, geez, that out of all your guest appearances, you've done all the anthology shows, but that was a good one. I do love. Uh, I don't know if you're a fan of if you're as big a movie fan. Uh, yes, no, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like my movies. Yeah,
Right.
I like.
Well,
Depends what sort of movies. I mean, I do like movies. I do enjoy them.
all right.
I do prefer to watch. I do prefer to watch series more than movies, but I will watch a movie.
Well, and it helps that
Yeah.
TV shows like this are still edgy. So, I mean, yeah, when I saw who played Andre Bushido, I was like, wow, hey, that's the guy who played the Wishmaster. He was in that's Andrew Devoff from Toy Soldiers and Air Force One, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and I think he gets some people to recognize him as like, because yeah, he's a Russian Venezuelan mixed actor who's should have been a James Bond villain, but instead was a B movie kind of guy, and here he is. I'm like, wow, he's really
And then
convincing.
and then he became an A movie guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it,
He's been in a lot of stuff.
he balances it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, this Andre guy, he's an animal smuggler and white slaver, and it was just a fun kind of concept. It's like, we've talked about sex traffickers, but what happens to those who smuggle in animals? Because for a while, zoos were getting into trouble for that, and I just think the episode is just interesting because it just everybody is just going undercover with this, like Stabler's eating meat with the guys, and he's like, oh, by the way, that's tiger meat, and he's like, ah. It's just so funny how he kind of is like the punching bag for a while of all these guys. Like, it reminded me when he got scratched by a guy who was infected, and he's trying to make sure he didn't get AIDS or anything, because the guy bled all over
Yeah, I
him.
think I remember that one. Yeah,
That's an early. That's as
it's an
close
early
as
one.
they
That
got
one.
to.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think back to the early ones. I think I'm gonna have to watch it from the beginning to get the early ones.
Well, and see, this was
in my
season.
memory again.
I feel like
it took me a long time to do that, but
well,
it'd be enjoyable while doing it.
It's a lot of fun, but yeah, when he did this season 10 episode, and he's eating that tiger meat, it's like I felt like that was a callback. He's like, man, why do I always get the difficult task?
Yeah, just the look on his face was like, why is it always me?
And
Yeah.
then the guy almost kills him. He fortunately has, a bulletproof vest. And then they're like, all right, buddy. So you got 13, murder victims. You've fed people to these tigers and hyenas. And it's like that's they just kind of summed up the diabolicalness of it. It's like they're not only ruthless and, illegally smuggling in these animals and giving them to black market people, or trying to find a way to legalize them and give it to people who didn't look for a background check. But then you're also, kidnapping people and feeding them to these animals for your enjoyment.
Yeah, just for the enjoyment. Yeah, those early episodes, seasons were good seasons, were things like that, because they were mixed up as well. And
yes.
I think that's what they're trying. I think that's what they're trying to do with these last 2 or 3 seasons as well, when they're mixing it up with murders, missing children, like you say, kidnapping people to give to animals. I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to go back to how the storylines were in the early seasons to try keep it going and keep the fans
re-accomplish it.
interested. Yeah, and re-accomplish it. Yeah. But as far as I know, I don't think the ratings have ever gone down on the seasons, or even when they've had a few.
They were tempted to end it a few times, and then it's like they just kept on. And I'm like, I think I just applaud any show that just wanted to rebrand itself so many times. I mean, it started off in '99.
That would probably explain why they got the new showrunner, that David Graziano, to obviously rebrand it, rearrange it,
that's just it. You write yourself into a corner, and I mean, Warren Lee, to his credit, had already been, working on HBO shows like In Treatment and on the other Dick Wolf shows, and so same kind of deal. They're just like, okay, let's give it to a new guy.
Yeah, I mean, he was a good. I've got nothing negative to say about Warren Lee. I thought he was a good showrunner. And all his storylines were really good. His writing was brilliant. So there's nothing. I've got nothing negative to say. But I think he had been on the show. He had been on it for a long time.
Yep.
And like we were discussing earlier, I think it just comes to a point where it's just like, well, it's time to move on now, and we need to bring in a fresher face and a new face, and yeah.
Well, it's even wild when David Graziano.
It sounds horrible because that's not nice for the people being told they have to go. That's not nice, obviously, but fortunately that's just the way of life and how that works.
Yep. Well, and David Graziano, it's so wild how he's done all kinds of mystery and crime shows. He did In Plain Sight, American Gods, and he did a show for Paramount that unfortunately not many saw called Coyote, which had Michael Chiklis in a comeback role as another bad apple protagonist. But that's where Octavio Bassano, who plays Detective Velasco, that was one of his first supporting roles. So it's so wild how, as a showrunner, you bring in some of the other people you worked with.
In Octavio, which helped, and it's worked as well. It's worked well. It's worked with it. It's done well. It's rebranded it. It's brought in the freshness, if that makes sense. Because I've also noticed, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm one of these people that does notice the little smallest of things. But I have noticed that they've redecorated the set as well. It's been repainted. It's been rearranged.
New logos.
Changed around. It's been moved around. Benson's desk is now in a different place to where it was, and I noticed things like that.
And
sometimes that is all it needs.
Whatever you got to do to make it actually look new, like people are actually working there.
If you want to keep it going, you've got to do that sort of things, haven't you? And you've got to keep with the times if you want to keep things going, I suppose.
That's what I kind of had fun in parts of season 25. How there was some other building officers who they promoted. It's like, hey, you stopped a riot. Promotion for you.
Well, yeah, that. And I like how they're touching back to like they're telling us more about the characters, like we've just had about Velasco's neighborhood, and the people that were assaulted in his neighborhood and how they were looking up to the things like that. And then we're going back to
why you got
a bit more about and about why you got into it, and then a bit more about Carisi and Amanda and how they're going along with their new life and things like that. And it's nice. Well, it's not nice for anybody to be stressed, but it's also nice to see that they're showing that they can be stressful. Like Carisi's seeming stressed, and
they acknowledge it.
Yeah, like they're acknowledging. I know it's not nice to suffer stress, but it's good that they acknowledge it and showing awareness to know that even the best of people, as lawyers and things like that, can still be stressed. And
Totally.
I mean, even before his hostage trauma, I'm talking about as well, because he was you could see him getting stressed and trying to work. He's working all hours. And
how do I make this stick?
Yeah, and things. Yeah,
for sure. Are there any actors who you became like fond of, like after they made a guest spot, and you're like, I got to check out what else these guys have done? That was a powerhouse performance.
I can't remember her surname. It's just called. I think she's called Rebecca. She played. What was it?
Oh,
season 19.
Which actor?
The with the Labot family.
Slowly ringing a bell. I think. Gotcha. Okay.
It wasn't Evelyn. It wasn't Evelyn Labot. It was can't remember a character's name now.
All right. Well,
I'm really sorry.
No, let's go on to the next one.
Yeah. But yeah, there's been a few. The chief that was in season 20, not 2020, 21. Is it Demar?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and and Titus Welliver, who played Rob Miller. He was really interesting, and I enjoyed his character very much. That I did
he had
actually
done villains
follow
before in the
everything. I mean, I
franchise.
know he's done loads of things before that, but
Right.
I'd
being
I'd
that
never really seen any of things that I'd done before. And then obviously I liked him, and then I started watching his Bosch series after that.
Yep. Great show.
Yeah.
And he'd been in all these Ben Affleck produced movies, and
Yeah.
he's been a New York regular, and he's been in some good guy roles, but he's just so easy to just cast him as a slime bag and slime ball. And so yeah, as Rob Miller in the 20th season, I was just like, wow, that was the most unusual free episodes. He's this guy, he's got all this money, friends a judge, uses other dirty tricks against the opposing lawyer, including assaulting her, and then he's just endlessly creative, and it's just like Jesus. And he abuses his privilege because he used to be an attorney, and so it's like, man.
Yeah, I think that's why I liked it. I think that's why I liked his character and that storyline, because he used to be a lawyer, so he knows, his character knew how the law worked, knew what was going to come back at him, knew how they was going to do it, knew what they was going to say to try and get him, into prison. And obviously, because he knew the law, he knew how to get out of it and how to get. And I think that's what it was, because it was like a cat and mouse type thing,
Yep.
We've got you, but then no, I can get out because I know how to get out and know how to free myself with this part of the law and things like that. Yeah. So then, and I think that's because, and I think that's why in the end they ended up having the ADA Peter had to try and prove that he'd done it without any evidence.
Yep.
Because he couldn't get anywhere with it. He couldn't get anywhere with him, and he was going to be free if they hadn't have done it, which I thought was a really good twist as well, doing it without any evidence, because you wouldn't have thought that you'd be able to win a case or even prove a case without anything evidence to show, but it just obviously it shows that you can.
Yeah.
The credibility and how you do it, and show, and change the jury to agree with you, obviously.
And just amp up security and hide out in a hotel if you got to, but
yeah.
Come to court. Let's get this.
Yeah, that's it. I think that was a good storyline, because it was interesting, because that's what was keeping me watching that storyline in those episodes. Well, how are they going to do it when he used to be a lawyer? How is he going to get out this one? How are they going to prove him?
Who does he know?
Doing and talking about. Yeah, he knows. This could be one you may not win. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Zoiks. He was ruthless.
So that was, it was ruthless.
So to finish up the rest of this chat, I'm going to sum up some more of my favorite various Dick Wolf TV show characters. And again, these are from all of them, including even crossovers with Homicide and what have you. It's safe to say the reason these villains stand out so much on this whole franchise is not just how they make the cliche seem better, but even on a lesser episode, you're just like, man, that was some hell of a good acting. And again, I like these shows because even if I don't find them enjoyable, like, again, that's not the overall gist. Like, there's callbacks to all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of great European filmmakers who work on this, and it gives it a very art house feel, and it makes good use of the location, the scenarios. So, I mean, probably the most divisive villain in this whole saga is Pablo Schreiber. That's right, half-brother of Liev Schreiber, Ray Donovan fame. He played William Lewis, and that was what started off, hey, SVU is going to now start doing multiple episodes. And I think the reason his character is still a talking point is just he went out of his way to kidnap, Detective Benson and bring out the worst of her. And I think it was just a good way of just showing how they acknowledged just all these different characters and all the trauma they got to overcome. But I can see why some people wouldn't care for that arc, and that's okay. But it's as much part of the whole scenario now at this point. I think people have had enough time to reflect on it and see from it what they want. And I got to talk about Bubba, Forrest Gump actor, McKelty Williamson. He's since gone on to also direct a lot of TV and what have you. But man, when he appeared on the other Dick Wolf sister show, Chicago PD, he was a high-ranking officer, just abusing his power. And more on some other characters in a minute. But he later went on to play one of the main gangsters in the second season of Law and Order: Organized Crime, and he was very fun. I wish they could have wrapped up that storyline better, but from what screen time he had, it was really neat seeing him play off of everybody, Jennifer Bills and what have you. Then we got David Zayas. You probably know him from being one of the prisoners on Oz. He's one of the cynical detectives on Dexter, and he was the main military kill squad guy on the first Expendables. So we got some Stallone guys, and his wife Lisa Colon Zayas has also been on the show a bunch as various characters. But I dug it when he played an FBI card. He was on the FBI shows that are part of the whole Dick Wolf saga, and he got to play a cartel guy who was resorting to smuggling in and doing terrorist bombing tactics. And then let's go back to the original show. One episode I would constantly come across was the one that had actress Kim Raver. That's right, from Third Watch and 24. She's done other stuff since, but man, she was basically playing a Susan Smith baby killer equivalent, and they just really dug into it very well. Like, I don't know. And just that all this different stages of denial before she finally spills the beans is like, I didn't want it. And if anything, all these actors, they find truth in playing all these different callous and calculated, just terrible people, but it's never an exploitation show, and it's also never comes across as cynical, for lack of a better word. And Matthew Lillard of Scream and Scooby-Doo fame, he was one of the first comedic actors I definitely saw on the show where I was like, wow, I didn't know you could do that performance. You know, you were a Nickelodeon guy, and here you are playing a state traveling serial killer on. He appears on the main FBI show, but it was a backdoor pilot for the Most Wanted spinoff, and here he is just going around state to state, like he goes into fits of rage and anger, and it was a good performance. And anyone who doesn't like the actor, please watch this performance and tell me I'm wrong. By the way, I'm not. And then there's Xander Berkeley. You know him as being the stepdad in Terminator 2, and he's done other movies and shows like Apollo 13 and 24, and he played an unusual thief, just going on a murder spree on an earlier season of FBI Most Wanted. And previously, he was a shady guy who got killed on criminal intent. And I remember him from one of the first episodes of New York Undercover, where he played a serial killer who basically goes on a murder-suicide spree. Xander Berkeley knows how to sum up all these unusual people. And then we got Nelson Vasquez. Again, guys, I'm going to continually mention the actors because it's just easier. I don't have time to go through all the different characters because sometimes the character's name isn't their actual name. But if you're with me so far, follow along. So yeah, there was a mass murderer disguised delivery guy on the 10th season of SVU. So if that's enough detail, just look up whatever episode Nelson Vasquez was on. He's been in some Spike Lee productions. He was really good at just being a man of many faces in that. And we got Michael Emerson. I love to hate him on Lost, and I love to love him on Person of Interest. He's another TV regular, but one of his ever first, back when he was a guest star actor, and one of his first roles I saw was he was playing a madman, just assembling a gun and just trying to kill people in different hotels, and it's on Law and Order Criminal Intent. And Vincent D'Onofrio has a real neat, just cat and mouse, just mind game face off with them. That's very well acted and written. And then we got soap opera turned
very mature actor. Rest in peace. We got Luke Perry. I remember he was an unusual guy who was taking advantage of these different women, and on SVU, he really he brought it home, and uh, it was just an unusual role because, like, yeah, basically, uh, the guy Noah Sibbert was a serial rapist, married one of his own victims without her knowing who he actually was, and then adopted the son of one of the other victims. I was like, man, that was some serious stones to even go there and just be that diabolical. And Julia Bowen was good as his wife. And it's like, man, she's like, this can't be happening. And solid episode. And then we got Whoopi Goldberg. Don't get me wrong. Robin Williams had a key role. We talked about Stephen Colbert already. Carol Burnett was basically this one sneaky businesswoman. I'm like, jeez. But hats off to Whoopi Goldberg. She got to play two key Law and Order villains. First, she shows up on Criminal Intent. It was during one of the Detective Logan seasons, and she got to play an adopted parent who basically she adopts all these foster kids and then just brainwashes them. She's like, you will kill and rob, various grocery stores for me. And they basically pledge a blood oath. I've seen all these Italian movies show that they got a blood oath of like these kids would slit their wrists. It's like, I'm not going to snitch on mama. She gave me a home. She gave me everything. I'm like, man. And she had no remorse. She played her cool. She was oblivious to it. So I was like, man, again, so many of these comedians are a great actor, and Whoopi Goldberg is no exception. The SVU appearance was heavily promoted, but I didn't remember the episode as much. But then I fought back. It's like, yeah, she played in that one. She, instead of exploiting her kids for her own profit, she was an abuser. But again, she hid it and messed with the foster care and all that again. So yeah. Then we got Jeff Kober. If you look him up, you've seen him on Sons of Anarchy, Walking Dead, The First Power, and Sully. And his episode is one of the absolute best episodes because he gets to play a Jim Jones type who basically has all these cultists, kill all these kids. And it doesn't feel manipulative because they do such a good job of just showing how, the title of the episode itself, charisma. It's like they did so good at just showing how he thinks he's above everything else as the Eugene character. He's a con artist, and they did a good job building it up and just showing how all the detectives are breaking down. They'd never seen so many kids be murdered at a crime scene. And the way it starts off with a hostage situation is just so good. Furthermore, let's wrap this up. Alfred Molina, in one of his many roles, got to play a mass raping guy. He was going after maids, and at this time they had a trial by jury spinoff, and so it was a good excuse to do a crossover. And it's even more diabolical that Bradley Cooper's before he was known as the lawyer who knows all the secrets and trying to discredit everybody. And Angela Lansbury was the mom of Molina and all these other guys who basically covers for him. She's like, anything for my son. And yeah, I recommend this episode a bunch. And altogether, I also just applauded Dana Delaney, who got to play, her from China Beach and various other shows, and she got to play a religious family member who basically she goes against her husband by basically just like, I'm gonna kill the controversial shock jock talk show host, and because he convinced all his followers, who was one of my sons, to kill for him. It's like, see, that was a wild change spray. That had a lot of commentary. Who's the worst? The one who murders and covers for this person versus the shock jock who just likes to abuse the freedom of speech clause for as long as he can. And it's just good talking points. And Lewis Black, the comedian, was just so well cast. This was an episode I came across often. I would see the last 10 minutes and be like, what's going on? I've never seen this one. Lo and behold, I get to it, I see it in its full length, and I'm like, that was a very well plotted episode. And so yeah, I mean, both actors completely unrecognizable and doesn't go at all where you expect it to, and you want to rewatch it because you want to see how it got to that breaking point. And then we got Michael Kelly. He's since, you've known him from being one of the douchey heroes in Dawn of the Dead. He's had a prolific career since, House of Cards, a Criminal Minds spinoff. And at this point, he was doing guest appearances on, much like his rapist character on The Shield. Here, he was playing a mass spree rapist who drank his victim's urine. And they managed to do it in a way where it's like, I don't find this unbelievable. It's like, I can see someone being that sick. Again, they do a good job of just staging all of this instead of just making it be like, I don't believe anything they're saying. And then we got a few other cool appearances for comedian Bob Saget. He was unrecognizable in his role. Rebecca De Mornay, Hand That Rocks the Cradle and Risky Business fame, was good as a murderer who fooled her husband into thinking she was physically handicapped. It was like, that's wild. So she faked all of this, but she's not actually disabled. She's abused so many of her privileges, and Robert Patrick from Terminator 2 was in a good one where he played a homophobic ex-con who was also a former rapist. So here he is trying to get back into society. I think he's on the offender list. Stabler has to go undercover, and this guy, we know he's a homophobe because he uses all these different slurs against Stabler, and Stabler's just pretending to be a new, also a guy looking to probably go on a heist. And it was just so cool how he got all this confession, but it's like, oh, I played your friend. Now I'm going to arrest you because you're playing everybody for a fool. And it's very clear all that prison time wasn't enough. And it's left to our imagination if the prison was inept versus, it just no amount of therapy was going to work on this guy. He's just a bad apple. He's going to go back to his own ways. And yeah, there was all kinds of other ones too. I mean, Johnny Messner is another Italian actor who's often been a thug or soldier in different movies, often with his friend Bruce Willis, and he was in a key season 9 episode where Vincent goes undercover, to try to find out all this foul play that's happening at a prison, and he was the main prison guard, basically raping all the inmates. But she still tries to get over that because she almost got attacked had her squad not been undercover in the prison there to save her. And man, total bad apple. Brad Dourif, that's right, Chucky himself gets to be on the original show, and he guest stars as a psychologist who finds a way to basically kill himself during the actual court trial, so he will not face any prison time, if I'm to remember correctly. And then we got Prince Sexton, who's another guy who, him in movies like Flight Plan, Radio, and Belko Experiment. But anytime he shows up, I know he's either going to be, he was even a bad apple on Bosch in recent times, but I always know that mustache, he's up to something. And yeah, he in this case, he's a crooked division of Chicago PD, and he gets his officers to attack one of the cast members, Atwater, after that detective reports his goonish police officers doing stops and everything. And basically, they pulled the whole Back the Blue. Around that same time, they were able to have Dr. Cox from Scrubs himself, John C. McGinley, also be political-driven police superior who was basically, he was always ordering his officers to shoot on sight, cover up crime scenes. And at the end of it, you totally want to slug him because you're like, man, you are just scum of the earth, but you're hiding behind political ambition and the blue shield. Yeah. Then we got Giancarlo Esposito. That's right, our beloved Gus from Breaking Bad. He got to be on the short-lived Trial by Jury spinoff, and I wish more people could have seen this episode because this is amazing. He's just being a Puerto Rican gangster dad who just decides, I'm going to kill my son. He's a gay man. I'm a homophobe. I disown him. And because I refuse to accept him as my son, I will kill him. That it was just so well done. This could have easily been backfired and just been a crappy B movie filling episode, but they really hit it home. They did it so well. And there's also John Fiore. He got to play Detective Profici on the original show for a while. They never really developed him until Detective Logan's Exiled TV movie follow-up came out, and they showed how, wow, we see the character again. And we're like, hey, what's he doing here? And then, of course, he happens to be the main culprit revealed at the end. He is a crooked cop and on the take. Also in that movie is Costas Mandalore as the main mobster who's killing prostitutes, but Fiore's character, Profici, is helping him dispose of the body. And to add to that, Ice-T was in there in one of his first, this is technically his first Law and Order appearance. He plays the Kingpin, who is also involved with this and suspected of foul play with the prostitute and other gangsters. Not as well developed, but it was cool seeing him make a splash because at this point he had already been on the cousin show, New York Undercover, the other Dick Wolf production, and that was where everyone was like, oh man, he's gonna do wonders now being recurring gangsters. On season 10 of SVU, one of my personal favorites was Anastasia Barze, whose character, she played a reckless mom who endangered civilians by refusing to vaccinate her kids in a public park, amongst many other awful things. I think there was a kidnapping thrown in there as well. Look it up, Anastasia Barze, Barzee. And then Aidan Gillian, years before he was known. That's right, the Irish actor. He got to be on the Trial by Jury spinoff show where he was being a neighborhood vigilante who was protected and repped in court by his social justice activist mom. And the mom was played by Lorraine Bracco of Rosalie and Isles and Goodfellas fame. And then Luke Cage himself, that's right, Mike Coulter. He was doing a lot of tough guy roles. He was on a Halo fan, spinoff show for the internet. He was on Criminal Minds episode, but I liked how he played a South African war criminal who almost gets into a fight with Stabler on SVU. And then I got to talk about Jason Biggs, Sergeant Voight on Chicago PD. He's not as big a bad apple as Vic on The Shield, but he still has orchestrated murders, done blackmail when he first was introduced on Chicago Fire, and even, Captain Vincent didn't know that about him. And so he's technically a good cop, but he's a bad person. And I got to put him on the bad guy list because even though he's done some good for people, he's still, again, it doesn't make it right. He's done more bad than good. He still has, stolen so much money for people or had other people go to prison for crimes they didn't commit, but the guy gave them their blessing. And lo and behold, he also previously played a Secret Service agent on the pretty infamous Law and Order spinoff, L.A., who was accused of some sex crimes. So it's going on here regardless because he played two questionable characters. And then we got Victor Arnold's character. You might know him from movies like The 7-Up syndrome. So Victor Arnold played a serial killer on hospice care who kidnaps and assaults the kid of a judge while raising said kidnappee on SVU. And basically, the judge decides to become a vigilante and beat the man nearly to death. So then it brings a great question. Who's the bad guy here? The guy who became vigilante versus an actual serial killer. So, yeah, we don't get as much screen time for him, but enough of his character is outlined to where I wanted to nominate him on here. Then we got John Patrick Walker. Anytime I see him in a movie, I know it's going to be too good to be true. And he was a crooked Department of Defense programmer who set up a website called fantasyrapeland.com and basically coaxed a pervert into assaulting an ex-girlfriend who dumped him. He had no idea that the judge on his court case was his actual father, and that his so-called dad also abused him growing up, was actually a serial killer who kidnapped him back in 79 and used this instance to torture said judge for 30 years. So, man, no one else can write this. And then we had Nick Stahl. He was the zebra killer, as they called him. He was also a conspiracy nut job. His name is Peter Harrison, the character name, and basically he leads a nitrogen sulfide trap for Stabler and Totola as they try to arrest him, and then threatens the lawyer representing him. And then, after feeling betrayed and seeing tabloids written about him, he leaves a smoke bomb in her car as well. So later gets sent to jail, but man, good comeback role for that actor, and who you've seen in movies like Sin City and Disturbing Behavior. And then we got Noah Fisher. I recognized him from Bones, and man, similar kind of character where he played a CSU tech who basically left a potassium chloride cyanide trap for Judge Donnelly, Judith Light's character, then fatally stabs the other tech, O'Halloran, and then basically takes Stabler hostage while scarring him multiple times with a knife. So yeah, deadly and ruthless son of a bitch I had in my notes. It's so unstable. He causes the court case on Killer Harrison to become a blunder due to contaminating the evidence, and he felt unappreciated after being insulted by Stabler, and so he just said, I'm gonna get revenge, and he'll appreciate me. And of course, fortunately, Vincent and Stabler are able to knock him out, but not after he's left some knife scars on him. And Mahershala Ali, before he was a well-known star, was a murderer and attacker Paul Foster, would basically leave marks on the women he touched, and he played the race card and claimed that women were lying hoes, his words exactly. It seemed iffy when his background was only known for private trading and meatpacking, but he later burns the evidence and almost burns the detectives when they try to arrest him too. It turns out the original suspect jailed for this crime was a blunder by Stabler, so it was cool just seeing is like, okay, he's bad, but this case was never perfect, and they sent the wrong guy to prison, but finally they get this guy incarcerated, and they haul him to jail, and he threatens to piss all over the arresting detectives' cars. Is later killed by a rogue detective, but it's a very twisted episode. Clancy Brown has been on these shows a few different times. He got to play a ruthless ex-con briefly on Chicago PD. It was a recurring role. Basically, Voight was supervising him, and Clancy really gets across perfectly how he's not well-spoken, and he refuses to play nice with any kind of rules, and he's going to return to his murdering, robbing spree ways. Previously, he played a crooked sheriff who was, again, doing some foul play on a Law and Order episode, and that was very well casted. That whole episode was neat. On the ninth season of the original Law and Order show, I remembered Jose Zuniga, who's been on everything, CSI, Twilight, everything, played a crooked cop named Detective Rivera who worked in narcotics, and basically he coerces a teen Latino gang member to work for him as an informant. He basically bribes him and everything, and just like without any approval, he just has the kid wear a wire to get all that unwilling information, and the informant got shot and injured when the deal goes bad. So it's just so well done. I was just like, man, who can write show episodes like that? And it's just so well put together, and definitely a one-of-a-kind solid episode. And I just loved how you don't know for a while if he's doing this for a career move or if he had the right intentions of heart, but basically, like all these bad apples, just screwed it all up. He any good in him pretty much disappeared the minute he went rogue. And we got Aaron Sortosky. He's an actor who's been on stuff like Julia, Dope Sick, and Miss Maisel. He was the main bad apple behind one of the first Chicago Fire, Med, and PD crossovers, where it was the crossover named Infection, where this was before COVID. They had a household chemical, amongst other things, that was becoming a new achievement in bioterrorism. And basically, we look forward to his death once we find out he's using all these yard tools and chemicals. I also remembered that Method Man was in a good episode. Dallas Roberts is another actor who's played a lot of creeps, and he got to play a serial rapist murderer in a SVU Chicago PD crossover. And basically, like typical guys, I didn't do it, I'm going to rip myself in court. And he was in the FBI pilot episode where he played a politician who had some links to some terrorist bombings. And then J.K. Simmons, that's right, the Whiplash actor himself. While he mainly plays Dr. Skoda on the various shows, he previously was on a Homicide, Life on the Street, and Law and Order crossover where he was a white supremacist who bombs a train. You instantly want this guy to die just because, he's a supremacist, so he says some slurs, and you're just like, man, you can't honestly think that, but you do, and you're a piece of shit. Then we got Otto Asandoha. You know him from movies and shows like New Amsterdam, Jason Bourne, and Blood Diamond, and he plays a warlord turned weapons trader who he orders his men to kill undercover Captain Ross on one of the premieres of a later season of Criminal Intent. And it's a great episode and great excuse for the detectives to be pushed to the edge. Then we got Tom Everett Scott. He's on later seasons of the original Law and Order as Governor Shalvoy, who basically is loosely connected to sex workers and murders people while trying to blackmail Jack McCoy while McCoy's running for district attorney. It's so awesome seeing how this guy just thinks McCoy's going to flip, and it's like, do you not know this guy? He doesn't, cater to any kind of peer pressure. And then we got Zelchko Ivanek. He's played a bunch of bad guys and lawyers on the whole Dick Wolf saga, but I loved how in SVU he played a politician whose campaign was cut short by a statutory rape, and he just kept doing the whole, it's consensual, oh, they're not a minor, oh. It gets more intense pre-court trial. He just and then Michael Gross, he was a bad guy on SVU, but I preferred his unusual psycho on Criminal Intent, because that's when the show was really getting going early on. It's like, man, this is the guy from Tremors and Family Ties, and he is just showing how this guy just regrets nothing. It was a real standout performance. We got to talk about Captain America star Bucky himself, Sebastian Stan. One of the youngest first roles he did was being a kid sniper. Basically, he takes his dad's rifle and just goes on a killing spree, terrorizing all of New York. And he did a good job in this role. And it's like, man, I can't believe that's the same future A-lister. He did so good in this role. Then we got Timothy Rothschneider, who plays a bullied kid turned school gunman in the School Days episode of Law and Order. This will make you wish that any real-life shooter got this serious a punishment. And same kind of deal. Who's to blame? The parent or the shooter? Either way, they got to face a consequence. It's not good enough to just be like, oh, kids died. Anson Mount has had several different roles on here. He played Jim Still on the briefly short-lived SVU spinoff Law and Order Conviction, but I dug it when he guest starred as Reverend James Sterling on the original Law and Order. He just plays a religious figure who's also closeted, but has to pretend to be anti-gay while being accused of killing a former actor. And then later gets gunned down by another assailant. But it's such a realistic portrayal. I'm like, it's so unflinchingly brutal in my words I put down. I'm like, yep. And we got Teabag from Prison Break himself, Robert Nepper. He plays a serial bomber on a Chicago Fire and PD crossover. Perfect madman. Now, on the trial by jury show, there's no shortage of good villains. Dorian Masick was later on the show Southland, got to play a gunman in the finale that take over a courtroom. And it's cool because we don't know if he has this fooled. It's like, maybe he'll make a better choice. It's like, nope, he's going to go along with this by trying to, instead of having a judge judge him, so to speak, he's going to just take the courtroom hostage and until the clock runs out, until a SWAT team comes in. Ryko Iosworth, who many will know from ER, Lost, Wi-Fi 0 and 24, she's had many roles on this show, but I liked it when she played Attorney Phelps, who basically was once respected, but now becomes a sociopathic stalker. It's like she is facing off with the lawyers in court, and she just starts sexually harassing Jim while starting. I mean, she just is oblivious to the fact that she made her move on him. And because he didn't take the bait, he didn't fall for her devious tricks, she just instigates this and basically does the whole, she mocks him in court while representing herself, saying, "This is a sham. I never did that." It's interesting watching even more from a Me Too, post Me Too eyes, but this is years before. So I think this is why people like this show. It's able to talk about mature subject matter without feeling just empty on ideas. Then we got J.C. McKenzie. He gets to play the head of the Revolutionary Aryan Warriors, a neo-Nazi group. Again, the Aryans are very known supremacists in real life, so this is still a very haunting episode to this day. And the kid who played his kid, Kyle, was just as creepy because he's the one who shoots up the courtroom and there's some fatalities. Stabler gets shot and injured. Munch fires at him, but man, it's a good episode. And just look up Stabler shot in court episode SVU and you'll thank me later. It's but yeah, good stuff. And Michael Nori gets to play many various characters on this show. You see him briefly being a guy, one of the recent FBI Most Wanted seasons, but I dug it when he played a hospital boss on the main Law & Order show. He just indicated that he had a patient unplugged despite patient being in a coma, and you just hate him because the guy just keeps hanging himself in court, and you're just like, yeah, but again, you didn't ask for consent from the family. It is murder. Yeah, you just came up with 3 different stories and none of them are good, but it's just a good, timeless playing God versus asking permission from loved ones when a family member's in a vegetable state. It's just a very well done episode that we're still seeing cases like this happen in real life. So James Frain, The Tudors and Star Trek Discovery fame, was on a SVU episode where he played a controlling psychiatrist who drugs out this one kid and uses his guardianship rights to do more experimenting on him. And then we got Lee Tergesen of Oz and Longmire fame. He played a religious zealot who pimped out Misha Barton's character as a streetwalker for 10 years. Just a total maniac, ruthless, and damning those who don't see eye to eye with him. He's hostile without laying a hand on anybody with his religious prosecuting. And then we got Richard Burgess, who basically plays a Bernie Madoff type businessman turned elite owner Richard Morgan, and he has failed to pay back debts for many people invested in him, so he makes 2 people magically disappear, including an inside gal for the IRS and someone who he framed an innocent man for another crime, and he's shot in an elevator by an older civilian who was ripped off by him, so justice is somewhat served, giving his criminal persona. His lawyer is played by Lena Olin in one of many roles. And she's complicit on his murders, but escapes incarceration due to the limited evidence. And for Stabler facilitating an arrest too soon. Damn it, Stabler. But it's a good episode, especially because it plays up the whole attorney-client privilege and who's the actual bad guy when that card is played. Lynn Cohen, who you've seen in movies like Munich and The Cobbler, she played Rose Donati on SVU and basically lets her son be the fall guy who, in this episode, you might remember there's a whistleblower who gets murdered in a meat factory that contains shards of glass and rat droppings. And basically, she's arrested because Benson doesn't think her heritage history adds up. And it's so funny. She pushes Detective Munch away, this bad apple. And it's like, man, this guy was ruthless. Henry Ian Cusick of Lost fame gets to be in 2 episodes of the 12th season where he plays a member of a pedophile watch group who also has done some sleazy aspects in his own right. And in the 2nd episode, it turns out, he's an instigator of some different stuff. Unfortunately, this episode's a little hard to watch because the actor has also had some Me Too violations, but hey, good episode, good performance. Corbin Burnson got to guest star. That's right, LA Law and psych actor. Major League fame. He got to guest star as a warden who was in love with a prisoner who he helps escape, even though he's happily married. Just the cover-up is what really makes this episode stand out, and Corbin does a good job. John Doman of The Wire fame got to play William Rand in season 13 of SVU, who's a private military security firm, and he sanctions cover-ups of whistleblowers, gang assaults, and other foul play. Samantha Saul of City on a Hill and Godless fame got to play being an FBI season 2 and Most Wanted season 1 crossover. She played a white supremacist guy's wife who basically takes Agent Jess's daughter hostage, makes a bust of children disappear, and gets help from a crooked ICE director. Out of all the characters on Most Wanted, this one stood out. Joshua Molina, the West Wing and Scandal fame, also was in a season 1 Most Wanted episode. He played an efficient yet not so subtle CIA trained assassin turned spree killer. Steve Service, who's been in movies like I Am Legend, got to be in a Most Wanted season 2 episode where he played the tertiary guy. He was the main white supremacist guy pulling all the strings. He's not the main guy, but he was the main. He actually is, but he's not the first one revealed at first. Hints. And basically, he's massacring teens who visit a Native American reservation. It's just a good setup for all these bad apples. Keith Sarabatchka was on the original Law & Order show for a while in season 7 as basically Jamie Ross's ex-husband, but he's just a total scumbag trying to basically distract her valid points while get custody. Just personal stuff during a bitter divorce. Viola Davis, future A-lister, Vince's in the Help, is one of her many roles was on Criminal Intent, and she played a crooked cop hustling gangbangers for money, as well as drug dealers she oversees. So, and I got to point it out to Gus Halper. He's been on all these Dick Wolf shows a million times, and I really dug his portrayal as one of the Menendez brothers. The camera loves him. He has that face that you either are afraid of or want to punch. And Jenna Maloney of West Wing fame got to be an evil mom who kills her kid on Criminal Intent, as well as a medical practitioner taking illegally obtained organs for well-intended procedures on SVU. And forging documents and doing the playing God card. Again, I love these people who play multiple different roles. David Marciano of Due South and the Shield fame. You've seen him on other stuff like Homeland. But he got to play a cameraman who stalks, rapes, impregnates, and sues for child custody against a reporter played by Laura Cohen, Walking Dead fame, and he was just vicious and ruthless on that. Stacy Keach got to be on season 16 as a sportswear trustee who pays ex-girlfriends of a sponsoring basketball player to be a rich and just ruins the guy's reputation while being a bigot. Lots of real life connections in this particular portrayal. Brooke Shields is often mocked for being the grandmother of Noah on SVU, but I could go into hours for that long in. You remember this because she just played this character so well in multiple episodes. Harry Hamlin got to be on 2 episodes where, lo and behold, he's the dirty police chief and who assaulted Detective Rollins years ago. It was another crazy episode. Shiloh Fernandez gets to play an A-list movie star. Also on SVU, where basically he just covered up the rape and drugging of a 15-year-old who was an admirer of his. Paul Edelstein was on the 16th season of SVU. He played a dentist who assaults his sister's daughter and tries to downplay it in every sneaky way. He's played other bad guy roles, but this was the best one. And Molly Price of Third Watch fame was also in season 16, and she plays an abusive parole officer of Carisi's sister's fiance. Basically, just has her parolees trade sexual favors, and if you refuse, I'm going to make your life hell. She has other officers on her team plant oxycodone at the parolees' houses to cover their tracks. Brad Garrett of Everyone Loves Raymond fame got to play a crooked corrections officer for a season 17 2-part finale. Maureen Anderman is another New York Broadway talent, and he gets to play Dr. Steve Janeway on one of the Law and Order's 9th season 2-part episode with Homicide: Life on the Streets 6th season. And this is a great one because it involves DA Jack McCoy and ADA Claire, and we're trying to prosecute this guy because this gal, actually, my bad, there's no IMDb photo. She's a murderer and rapist of her own daughter out of jealousy, as her adulterous husband was spending too much time with her daughter. Just a total despicable person in every sense of the word, who did the unspeakable after making her husband take the fall and tries to remove evidence by vacuuming her own house in which it occurred. Bob Gunnan, you might know him as the warden in Shawshank Redemption. He plays a Donald Trump-type billionaire rapist of younger girls. They downplay it, but you know that's totally what he's playing the role as, and this is before Trump became president. But yeah, he also raped his son's ex-wife and influenced his grandkid and claims he had dementia to avoid prosecution. And this is in season 18 of SVU. Sarah Winter, who's been on the Dead Zone in 24 and in movies like Species 2 and The Sixth Day, is a very talented character actress who should get more roles. You've seen her on Flight of the Conchords, among other things, but she played a wicked psychiatrist who is a statutory rapist of her son's friend, manipulative towards her ex-husband, and then tries to frame her son in court for her initial tricking him into killing his friend, also in season 18 of SVU. Again, I wrote these down as I saw these shows because they were that memorable. Richard Schiff has done a bunch of different bad guy roles. You know him from Jurassic Park 2, West Wing, Man of Steel. On Chicago Justice, which was a short-lived spinoff of the Chicago shows, he got to play a construction owner who gets his son-in-law killed and then uses non-liability insurance policy, forces his daughter to lie, influences the DA, and gets repped by his son. Man, that's not ruthless. Nothing is. Ian McShane got to play a media mogul in the season 21 premiere of SVU, and Sir Tobias Moore, if that's not pretentious enough. Very inspired by Harvey Weinstein and very well portrayed. And then we got John Glover. Yep, you know him from his various DC voiceovers. He, was on Smallville in movies like Scrooge and Gremlins 2, and he had a bad guy role on Criminal Intent where was the psychologist who mentors Detective Gorin, but then lo and behold, Gorin finds out his mentor has gone against everything you represent and been behind some crimes. while also playing games and betraying Gorn's trust completely. Finn Rappaport got to be on an SVU season 23 premiere where he plays a presidential candidate who has Wall Street ties, is promiscuous, and part of another bunch of political crooks that basically work with apartment landlords to solicit sex in exchange for not evicting said residents. He has witnesses and campaign staff by many he has hired, and he has an unethical lawyer orchestrate most of his dirty work. Vinnie Jones gets to play an Armenian gangster in season 2 of Law and Order Organized Crime, and Dennis Leary was also on there as well as a crooked cop who uses his connections, to basically just cover everybody. And since he knew his dad knew Stabler's dad, who was also a dirty cop, it's just so well orchestrated. There's plenty of other bad apples on Organized Crime, but like, I admire that show because they keep it even fresher, and you just want to see the big bad go down each season for every season they're on. Another SVU villain before we get going is a self-described methodical mass serial killer who mummifies and removes organs from his victims. A very atypical episode. And then I got to talk about there's plenty of other villains on The Wire, but we've already dedicated a separate episode to that. But still, because he was just one of the standout recurring villains on Homicide: Life on the Street, I put him on this list, and that is Eric Dellums. He's a very respectable voice actor, but man, you see him and you are just instantly afraid for your life. He just has that cunning, just voice, the whole "I dare you to do it," and his drug kingpin Luther Mahoney is just so deadly, and just a very underrated actor who has gone on to do some narration work. And but anyway, that's all, folks. I don't want to keep you any longer, but thank you for listening, and hope you enjoyed this.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small-town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up